Welcome, dear viewers, to another episode of A One Storyteller, where each tale is not just a story but a journey, and every journey uncovers hidden truths. Tonight, we bring you a story that will send chills running down your spine, tug at your heartstrings, and leave you questioning the very essence of fate itself. Buckle up, because this isn't just another ordinary ride.
No.
This is the gripping tale of a dedicated police officer, a seemingly routine traffic stop, and a tattoo that would change everything. Let's dive right in. Officer Mark Harris had seen it all during his 10 years on the force. From speeding teenagers to intoxicated drivers, he thought nothing could shock him anymore. Nothing at all. Or so he believed. It was a quiet Tuesday night, the kind of night where the only sounds accompanying him were the steady hum of the engine and the occasional crackling of the police radio. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a soft silvery glow over the empty stretch of highway, making the night feel almost eerie. That's when he noticed it, a sleek, black sedan weaving slightly between lanes. Instinct kicked in, and without a second thought, Mark turned on a siren. The red and blue lights sliced through the dark like a beacon, pulling the car to a stop on the shoulder. Mark adjusted his hat, took a deep breath, and stepped out of his patrol car. As he walked over, he prepared himself to handle another routine stop. "License and registration, please," he said, his voice calm, steady, and professional, like any officer would. The driver's window rolled down, revealing a woman in her late 20s. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail, and her green eyes locked with his, with an unsettling calmness. She handed him the documents, without saying a word. Mark glanced down at her license, but his eyes were drawn to something more, the tattoo on her wrist, partially hidden by the sleeve of her jacket. It was small, intricate, and unmistakable, a crescent moon with a star nestled inside. Mark's breath caught in his throat. He knew that tattoo all too well. He had seen it before, 20 years ago. Back then, Mark was just a boy, living in a small town with his parents and his younger sister, Emily. Emily was the light of his life, the person who could brighten any room with her radiant smile and unwavering belief in the goodness of people, even in the darkest of times. She had that exact same tattoo on her wrist, a symbol of her love for the night sky and her dream of becoming an astronomer. But then, one fateful night, Emily disappeared. She had simply gone out for a walk and never came back. The town searched for weeks, but there was no sign of her. The case went cold, and Mark's family was left with a void that could never be filled. Despite the years that passed, the memory of his sister never left him. And now, here he was, staring at a tattoo identical to hers on the wrist of a stranger. Mark's hands trembled as he handed the documents back to the woman. His voice, barely above a whisper, broke the silence. "Where did you get that tattoo?" he asked, his eyes never leaving her wrist. The woman looked at him, her expression unreadable. "It's a long story," she said softly before adding, "but it's not mine." Mark's heart began to race. "What do you mean it's not yours?" he asked, his voice thick with confusion. The woman hesitated, then reached into the glove compartment and pulled out a photograph. It was old, the edges worn, but the image was clear. There, in the photo, was a young girl with auburn hair and green eyes, smiling at the camera. And on her wrist, the exact same crescent moon and star. "That's my mother," the woman said, her voice trembling. "She gave me this car and this tattoo. She told me it was a symbol of hope, of never giving up, no matter how dark the night." Mark's mind raced as the world around him seemed to shift. "Your mother," he whispered, his heart pounding. "What's her name?" "Emily," the woman replied. "Emily Harris." The name hit Mark like a bolt of lightning, searing through his chest. Emily. His sister. He stumbled back, trying to process the impossible. "Emily," he whispered again, his voice cracking. "She's alive." The woman nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "She's alive. She's been living in another state under a different name. She never stopped searching for you, for our family, but she was afraid of what might happen if she came back." Mark's vision blurred with tears, his breath coming in shallow gasps. He reached out and placed a trembling hand on the woman's shoulder. "Take me to her," he pleaded. "Please." The drive to Emily's home felt like an eternity. Mark's mind was a whirlwind of emotions: joy, disbelief, anger, and hope, swirling in a chaotic storm. How could she have stayed away for so long? Why hadn't she reached out? But all those questions faded the moment they pulled into the driveway of a small, cozy house. All that mattered now was that she was here. She was alive. The door creaked open, and there she was. Emily. Older, yes, but still the same in so many ways. Her hair was streaked with gray, and there were lines on her face that hadn't been there before. But her eyes were the same. "Mark," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Emily," he replied, stepping forward, his heart pounding in his chest. And in that instant, they were in each other's arms, holding on as if they would never let go. Later, as they sat in the living room, Emily shared her story. She had been kidnapped that fateful night, taken by a man who had been watching her for weeks. He had kept her captive for years, but through it all, she had never given up hope. She escaped, but by the time she was free, she was too terrified to return. She started a new life, but she never forgot her family. "I thought about you every day," Emily said, tears streaming down her face. "I wanted to come back, but I was scared. Scared of what you would think of me, scared of what might happen if he found me again." Mark reached out and gently took her hand in his. "You're safe now," he whispered. "You're home." The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions. Mark introduced Emily to his wife and children, and they welcomed her with open arms. As for the woman who had led Mark to Emily, she turned out to be more than just a stranger. She was Emily's daughter, yes, but she was also a living reminder of the strength, resilience, and love that ran through their family. She had grown up hearing stories about her Uncle Mark and had always hoped that one day they would meet. And now they had. Cue uplifting music and visuals of the reunited family, laughing, sharing stories, and cherishing their new beginning. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to A1 Storyteller for more stories that touch the heart and stir the soul. Until next time, remember, every ending is just the start of a brand new story.